YouTube, what is happening? We got a new video for you today, and it was one that I had polled everyone on Instagram, not everyone, but my followers, on Instagram and on YouTube community about. So you guys want to see a review? And the overwhelming response was yes. So at first it was kind of neck and neck, but then it pulled ahead pretty good. So this is the Paramilitary 2 Emerson. Now, I actually went over to my friends at Blade Ops today. They're a local knife shop to me. And this is their exclusive, so you can only buy it from Blade Ops. And had a good chat with them, and they offered to let me grab one of these and make a video. So here I am doing it the same day, which is pretty awesome. So what I wanted to do in this video is talk about, not necessarily just about the Para 2, because it's nothing new really, but about the differences between this Para 2 and a standard Para 2, because there actually is some pretty significant differences. And not only that the wave feature is there, obviously that's an important feature. You know, that's the way they designed it to be waved open like an Emerson. Works really well, by the way. Delivering it out of your pocket. I'll put some footage in here in a minute of doing that, but works very well. So, you know, this follows along the line of the different other Spyderco models, the Delica, the Endura. What else has the wave on it? The Matriarch, I think. A lot of the Spyderco knives have kind of deployed the wave feature. So the Blade Ops thought, hey, you know, here's an idea for an exclusive. A waved Para 2, the most popular, probably the most popular Spyderco knife. So these are in stock right now on the website. They run around 160-ish, I believe. They do offer free shipping on all their knives. So definitely a great place to do business with. So let's talk about the Para 2 Emerson. First of all, for my first impressions, and we'll compare it to a standard Para 2. So first impressions out of the box is the fit and finish on these are really good. The action's nice and smooth. There's no play. It's nicely centered. The grinds look very even on both sides. I noticed maybe a little variation right here, but not bad. Not bad at all. Maybe, yeah, it kind of dips a little bit. Now, other than that, really good. Nice ergos, as you would expect from the Spyderco. Nice action, no blade play, centering's good. So, and they had said that all the ones they had got in from Spyderco were really like top notch. Like you didn't have to worry about centering, you didn't have to worry about any of that stuff with. And you typically don't with Para 2s, but sometimes that can happen. So overall, first impressions are good. It's got a nice smooth action. Yeah, just the Para 2 you'd expect, right? Except for that it has a wave and it waves open out of your pocket. Okay, one big difference, out of the box comes tip up, not tip down, which only makes sense with the wave, right? Only makes sense. That is one big difference, though. They should come tip up. They do have the option for that, but they tip down, excuse me, they came tip up right out of the box. The other noticeable difference, like right away, that I immediately noticed was the blade stock thickness. It is substantially thicker than a standard Para 2. So here is a Para 2 Maximate, standard production run, you know, Maximate version, and you can see visibly the difference between those two blade stocks. But I am going to measure it for the sake of the video, as long as my calipers work. There we go. Okay, so a standard blade thickness on a Para 2, if we do it right around here, is 0.129 inches. On the Emerson Wave Para 2 is 0.430 inches. So a noticeable difference. You can see it visibly. But one of the things that the Para 2 does is it has that taper, right? Tapers down to that distal taper down to that tip. And it's got a pretty thin tip. Notice the difference between the tip. This is the other big difference I want to point out. Because of that thicker blade stock, it's also saber ground versus flat ground, which is a big difference. But notice the difference in that tip. One thing that people kind of give a bad rap to Para 2s for is that the tip is pretty delicate. So if you want a Para 2 with a strong tip, I mean, look at that. That comes down at the tip. It is almost an inch, 0.0895. Whereas on the Para 2 standard version, at the tip, you're 0.3. So huge difference there, guys. Huge difference. So they do that because obviously because of the saber ground, but they do have a lot thicker blade stock on that. think that's a lot to do with the wave and waving that steel and, you know, removing that much steel. You want a little bit thicker blade stock. But the finish, the Maximum has one of my all-time favorite finishes on the Para 2. But it's got like a nice stone washing. The Emerson has the kind of this typical satin finish. But you can really see that difference in the grind there with that saber grind versus that flat grind, right? A lot of that has to do, again, with the wave. That's why they do that. They do the same thing on the Delica and the other wave knives. What I was curious about was behind edge thickness, because the standard Para 2, so this Maximate, it's never been sharpened to my knowledge. It's actually a buddy of mine's. It should be right around 20 thousandths. If I can get that to line up. That's coming at 23. Wow. So I'm going to take it off camera for a sec so I can get a good grasp on it. Yeah, so about 20 thousandths. I was just getting a little shy of 20 right here. Let's see. So I'm getting anywhere from 19 to 22 thousandths on the standard Para 2. On the saber grind, I have a feeling, well, let's just see. Feels a little thicker to me. Oh, yeah. Guys, that's pretty dramatic, actually. 0.033 behind the edge. Let's give it, no, we're pulling about as 0.030 now behind the edge. So it is pretty thick, a lot thicker behind the edge than the flat ground Para 2. Let's go ahead and do it one more time. Right about there. Back there, we're getting all the way up to like 0.44, so you're pretty thick. And it's going to taper down a little bit. Yeah, so your thinnest edge is right here, where it probably should be. But I'm getting an average. The lowest I saw was 0.03 thousandths behind the edge, highest 0.34. So quite a bit thicker behind the edge, and you can actually tell just physically looking at that bevel. Notice how wide the bevel is on the Para 2 Emerson versus the Para 2 to the left. That's a good indication that it's thicker behind the edge. So you are getting a much more robust Para 2, thicker blade stock, thicker tip, and a little bit thicker behind the edge. That may or may not appeal to some people. I know I tend to prefer knives a little thinner behind the edge, but considering the Emerson Para 2 here, the Emerson Wave is kind of more of a tactical style knife because you're going to wave that to deploy quickly, not as much. Obviously, it works just fine as an EDC as well, but it's a little bit more tactical in design. That's just how the whole premise of the wave opening is to be the fastest deployment of the knife out of the pocket, right? That's how Emersons are designed. They're tactical style knives. So using the Emerson Wave goes along with that. So if you ever wanted a more tactical, robust Para 2, then the Para 2 Emerson Wave would definitely be the one for you because it has the legendary compression lock. It's nice and smooth, has a nice action. You can actually feel noticeable difference in the heft of the blade. Just by flipping the knife open one to the other, you can definitely feel that this is a little bit more robust. I mean, obviously because of the thick blade stock, but thicker blade stock, a little thicker behind the edge, and a really stout tip on this guy versus your typical weak tip on the Para 2. So, I mean, look at that difference. That's pretty substantial. This almost looks like a Strider or something, like a Tanto or a Strider tip versus a, in fact, I don't have a Strider on me, but I've got a Hinderer. It's a Warney. But yeah, look at that. It's a very similar tip right there. So, a little bit more robust. So if you ever wanted that little harder use, robust, tactical, you know, style Para 2 with a little bit thicker blade stock and that thicker tip, much more robust tip, you know, that's a good, definitely a good option. So there is some pretty significant differences, guys. It's not just a wave. Your grind, your thickness behind the edge, your tip, weight. Let's see. I'm willing to bet. There it is. That it might be a little heavier because of that extra blade. Let's find out. Okay, we got it zeroed. So your standard Para 2 weighs in at just under 4 ounces, 3.9. This guy weighs in at 4.1. So 2 ounces, not a lot, but it is a little bit heavier. So there are some minor differences, guys. Definitely a cool sprint run, or excuse me, dealer exclusive, not a sprint run. Very cool dealer exclusive on this guy, and 160-ish. I think it's 161 maybe on the Blade Ops website. I'll leave a link in the description for Blade Ops where you can purchase it. I don't get any kickbacks or anything on that. I'm just, you know, collaborating with them a little bit on this video. So I think it's a cool addition to the Para 2 family. The Para 2 is probably the most, like I said, prolific Spyderco. Most people are familiar with it. There's a billion different steel versions out there. Not a billion, but a lot. A lot of sprint runs, a lot of exclusives. This is another cool one to add to the list. If you're a fan of the Emerson or the Delica or EnduraWave, this is definitely, I think, a step up, because you get that awesome compression lock, you get S30B steel, and yeah, just it's a Para 2, so you get some good ergonomics, and you get that wave opening feature. Also, another thing to consider if you're looking to pick one of these up is there's a company called Wiseman Company. You probably heard of them. I've done some video reviews on some of their stuff. In fact, I did a review on the Signet Ring, and it was for the Delica. They also make them for the Endura, but then they also make them for the Para 2 and Para 3, and I couldn't imagine a better candidate for the Signet Ring than the Emerson waved Para 2. So, all right, guys, that's my thoughts, my first impressions on this guy. Let me know what you think down below, and we'll see you on the next video.